Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Adil, and today I'm going to be talking about how to get into the sport of MMA. Now, as some of you may know, or if you're watching this video, you probably realize that MMA is actually one of the fastest growing sport in the world right now, with the rise of organizations such as the UFC, Bellator, and One Championship. And it's generally a good combat style to get involved in if you want to learn self-defense or you want to further your martial arts journey. Now, I want to get involved in MMA and perhaps particularly try and compete at some point will fall in one of three categories. So the first category would be what I'd like to refer to as knuckleheads. Knuckleheads basically the guy who went to a bar one day and got into an argument and got into a drunken brawl, or someone with generally a big ego and who thinks they can fight, but they haven't really sort of been through any formal training. And generally these type of people do not last in an MMA gym. What happens is they would be tested by someone with a higher skill set to probably get beaten, or they would be asked to leave. Now, obviously, no one really openly admits to being a knucklehead, but if you are someone who sort of thinks that they can fight and you have maybe been in a few unsanctioned brawls, then my advice would be, look, try and test yourself. If you think you enjoy fighting and if you think you are capable of fighting, then approach MMA as something that I can test myself and I can improve and maybe actually turn this into a skill and who knows, a career at some point, right? So test yourself, and it is definitely a learning experience. That is probably the only advice I'd give a person who is quote unquote knucklehead. The second type of person would be the average Joe. So this type of person that hasn't really competed in any martial arts, doesn't really have a background, but would probably like to get involved in MMA either for fitness, self-defense, or potentially compete at some point. If you do fall in this category, my advice would be this. Number one, focus on your conditioning. I can't stress how important this is, right? So your cardio, your strength and conditioning, you need to have a good strength and conditioning program, because MMA itself, the training is quite vigorous and taxing on the body. And if your body isn't prepared to take that amount of stress, it's unlikely that you'd last a week or a month or 2 months. It also depends on the type of gym you do walk into, but I would say try to focus at least 2 to 3 times a week. Just focus on the strength and conditioning aspect. Get fit, get your lung capacity up. That will come with time, obviously. If you do a bit of road work, once you are actually training in MMA, you will develop some better cardio, right? But I cannot stress how important this is. Your body needs to prepare for the type of stress and tension and vigorous training you're going to undertake. That's tip number one. Tip number two would be that you don't really have a base, so you don't know where to start. And what I've seen happen is a lot of people get sort of thrown into the grappling aspect, the jiu-jitsu aspect, which is fine, but don't mistake in jiu-jitsu for MMA, and not everything you learn in jiu-jitsu is going to actually make sense at first for mixed martial arts. And then the other thing is you likely will also be just thrown into a few boxing sessions. Now, jiu-jitsu with boxing doesn't really sort of qualify as MMA. These are just two separate elements to it. So my advice, try and get a base in wrestling. Try and learn, if possible, try and get into a gym that focuses a bit on wrestling for beginners. With wrestling, it's a brilliant base for MMA, because it's the transition phase between the striking, the stand-up, and taking the fight to the ground. And a good wrestler can either take someone to the ground or defend themselves from being taken to the ground. So try and build a base as much as possible in wrestling, and that will help you help you on your journey to becoming an MMA fighter. Those are the basic 2 tips I could give someone who will be the average Joe. Obviously, as you progress on this journey, you will pick up new skills, and you will learn different aspects of martial arts and find your feet and where you're comfortable with. And I would say, make sure you walk in, try and vet the gym you're walking into. When I say vet, try and ask questions, get a feel for what it's like. Hey, how many students are there? What's the student retention rate? See if you can have a conversation with a coach and see if you can get comfortable, and if the gym fits your needs. Because what may happen is you walk into a gym that probably has a very aggressive approach, and it may not work for you, and that could discourage you very early on. So for the average Joe, it's cardio, strength and conditioning. Try and build a base in wrestling, and make sure you do a bit of homework on the gym before you join. Then the third type of person who would want to get involved in MMA would be the martial artist, someone with a background. So whether it is karate or judo or Brazil, approach would be not necessarily very different than anyone else, but obviously you're coming in with a skill set, and what you're gonna have to do here is try and figure out how to adapt those skills to a fight situation, an MMA fight, right? How I personally dealt with this was through sparring with different sparring partners and the right sparring partners. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting go in there on the first day or the first week and just start sparring. What I'm saying is that you need to sort of almost relearn a lot of the skills you've learned. So, example, if you are a karate fighter, and karate is notorious for points, but also karate has the element of closing the distance, and in striking from a distance, and in closing the distance in a short space of time, or preemptively anticipating when to close the distance. And now you need to learn how to sort of adapt and apply that in a full contact mixed martial arts fight. The only way you're going to be able to do that is through experimentation, through sparring. So I'd say a mid-pace sparring session or sparring sessions would help you with that, right? That's number one. Number two is you are going to fall in one of 2 categories. You are either a striker or a grappler, and you need to figure that out. It's really simple. Do you kickbox? Do you wrestle? If you are a striker or a grappler, obviously there are gaps, so you need to now start filling in the gaps. You will obviously need to leverage the expertise of your team and your coach, but generally you need to start focusing on the areas where you are most weak at, because those are going to be sort of exploited in an MMA fight situation. So you want to, if you're a striker, for example, you want to get good at takedown defense. And if you are a judoka, you want to start building some confidence with getting hit and how defending against strikes, and proper distance management. Because what happens with grappling, everything is within arm's reach, but when you're a striker, you don't want to be within arm's reach, because that's where you're going to get hit. So you need to, step number 2 is you need to work on filling in those gaps. If you are a striker, start focusing on the ground game. If you are a grappler, focus on defending against striking, and building more confidence with striking, because generally no one likes getting hit. So it comes down to, it's a bit of a confidence thing. So those would be my 2 tips for someone who is actually a martial artist. And yeah, that's about it, right? We got those are the basic 3 types of people likely to maybe walk into an MMA gym. And above all, as cheesy as it sounds, just try and enjoy the journey. It is a journey. Try and relax and enjoy it, and try and absorb as much as you can, whether you are the average or whether you have a martial arts background. And people tend to become fixated on the hype of it all. And the thing with MMA, it's very easy to get caught in that web of the hype, of the I want to be pro someday, or the entrance music, or whatever it is, and just kind of take every day as it comes. And remember, it is a journey. It can be a journey of a few years, it can be a lifelong journey. Take it in and take in the sights while on the journey and try and enjoy it. And that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I intend to release a few more videos on this topic in the near future, talking about getting into MMA. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and stay tuned for more. If you do like this video, please do give it a like. That is all for now. I am signing off. Take care and goodbye.